Sound the alarm, everyone. It is time for BLERD Alert, a place where we talk toys, comics, movies, and more. I'm your host, Scotty Quippen, aka Quip, aka what was my other alias? Oh yeah, Stephen Q. Yerkel. And along with me on this fantastic voyage this evening is Sebastian Gomez, también conocido como Sebastian. It's like Sebulba, but yeah, there we go. Happy May 4th, everyone. How are you doing today, Sebastian?
Good. I'm wearing my one Star Wars merch. The Empire Strikes Back.
Ooh.
I'm good, man. It's been busy, but stuff is winding down. I'm a little bit feeling my soon-to-be 38 body. So this morning I realized that I probably pushed too hard the last couple of months. I have to bring it down one peg. But
So
all good besides that.
Like a regeneration chamber, kind of like Vader. You need to just lower, chill for a bit.
Or like Cap, where he goes in scrawny and comes out super muscular, kind of like that.
Yeah, that could work. That could work. Absolutely. And you might notice that BG isn't here yet. That's Brandon Gash, aka Gash Rendar. He will be here shortly. Hopefully, we'll hear from him soon. He'll just hop on when he can. But until such a time as he does arrive, let's go ahead and say hey to the chat, and then we'll bring in our special guest. So let's see who's here waiting in the wings. We've got Yaga. Sorry. Yaga. Started from the bottom. Now we're going to go back up. All right. We got TNT. Oh, he changed it back. Still calling him TNT. That's a different logo. All right. We got Justin Mohan, Accomplish Everything Tube, who is the provider, the musical artist who put together our opening beat. He was gracious enough to put together a little bit of a theme song for us. He put together that ditty. So shout out to Accomplish Everything Tube. He's also got a music page. I said it last time. I know he was shopping while he was listening. Go ahead and drop the IG at in the chat, Accomplish Everything Tube. And thank you again. We've got Esther Arriaga from Gum It Up Maker. Hey, Esther, how you doing? Happy to see you here. Technicolor, Chris Babinski, and VPG. Last but certainly not least, and of course, more people will trickle in as we continue. But now, I do want to introduce our guest, the magnificent maestro of the monstrous. It is none other than Mr. James Groman. Welcome to BLERD Alert. We are happy to have you here. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great. I was tempted to hide out of off camera, and just when all of a sudden I pop up, where is he? What the heck? But no, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh yes, and so this is just a creator kickback where we're just yapping, we're talking. Each and every one of us, I know, at least speaking for Seb and myself, we both acknowledge that we are long-winded, that we are yappers. We can talk about whatever. And so I hope you're up for it, because this conversation can go anywhere you want it to.
Awesome. Well, it helps because if I get boring, I know you guys will pick up the slack. So
never.
That's great.
Never.
But before we really dive in, I know a lot of people already in the chat were saying that they're excited to see you here. And again, yes, thank you for doing the show. As Justin Mohan was saying, thank you for being here, for joining us this evening. For those of you who might not be familiar with who you are and your illustrious body of work, go ahead and sum up the last couple decades of experience, and we'll give you 30 seconds.
All right. Actually, I was an artist since I was a little kid. Graduated from college in the 80s, 86. I was an illustration major. Teachers didn't know anything about my type of work. I wanted to do film design, some toy design, things like that. My cinema was my minor. I actually was really interested in film. But graduated, got hired by American Greetings. Everyone knows I'm one of the Madball guys from back in the day. Created Barnyard Commandos back in the early 90s, late 80s. My Pet Monster, all that stuff. Care Bears. I keep saying I love working on Care Bears. That was one of the brands that I was kind of heavily involved in, particularly on some of the resurgences over the years. Went to Hasbro for a number of years, which is why this is good that we'll be chatting Star Wars, because I was in charge of the Star Wars line in Play School for about 5 years there, and got to go to Lucasfilm and meet some of the folks there and discuss some of the sculptures, and always going there to try to get things approved. So I was there for 5 years working on Star Wars, left there to come back to Cleveland again, worked on Care Bears. I was brought back in to work on a new version of Mad Balls, a new version of Care Bears, and then went off on my own, got into this crazy designer vinyl genre a few years back, won some awards very early on, and that once it's kind of like an Oscar. It's like once you win those awards, all of a sudden it's like everybody wants you to do something for them. So I definitely credit the companies that brought me on very early on. They kind of really helped skyrocket me into a whole new career. So I've been doing vinyl toys for like the last 20 or so odd years. King Corpse, Rotten Rex. I've done a number of things for Mondo over the last few years, a lot of licensed properties. I love playing around with the licenses and doing my own thing with them. Some Godzilla pieces, Acro I'm doing some Godzilla pieces for, and some Toho licenses, Ultraman, and Universal Monsters. So all these dream projects. So that kind of gets you up to date.
That is quite the resume, and I was joking, but you took it all the way back to art school. I definitely appreciate that. So many awesome things that just stand out. Of course, particularly Mad Balls and Barnyard Commandos, but really loving the fact that you continue to make new toys, as Aurea Iaga is pointing out. Thank you for continuing to make new toys. Just so many cool things. Accomplish Everything Tube also saying he's got your work all over his house. I'm sure you get that all the time.
Thank you
so many
much.
Of us
grew
up with the stuff that you were creating fresh out of school are now adults and into either collecting toys or
running companies.
Toys.
Some of them are working at the companies. They're the people that are hiring me, or people that grew up playing with the stuff I created. So that's fantastic.
It absolutely is. It's we can't thank you enough for all of your contributions to our childhoods and to our adulthoods, as far as continuing to collect and continuing in the hobby. I know even here, like I've got your IG pulled up. I'm going to share it real quick because you touched on some really cool things. So for anybody who hasn't already added James on IG, it's at jgroman60. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up here. I mean, so many people that are in the chat, I know they're already following you and a lot of the cool things you're doing, but I just gotta show some of what you are continuing to put out in that soft vinyl format.
There he goes. I think I might go to Brooklyn just to try and get that guy.
Yeah, like this is just something cool that you've done for Kaiju 1, right?
Oh, look at him.
The Dino Fighters.
Got him right here, yeah.
Ooh, let me make you big. Hold on. There we go. Hey.
I just got him today. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So they were loading me up for a couple shows that I'm going to. And then
does he smell nice?
Oh yeah, fresh vinyl. Well, there's the paint. Most of the time it's the paint, or the clear coat that they put on him is the first thing that you smell when you open up the box.
Dude, he looks beautiful.
He looks better than I could have ever imagined. Yeah, he's just. Yeah. I mean, I've been seeing photos for the last month or so. He looks way better than the photos.
And you mentioned on your video, but quickly, if you can just recap, you have a couple of these guys, and you're gonna take them to that show in Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
And he's gonna take him to the show, so that's the way you can get him. You can't get him like by sending a DM or anything. It's a kind of a local thing. Yeah.
I think at one time some of the other Dino Fighters were offered on Kaiju 1's website, so I'm hoping that happens for the Yeti as well. But they've taken to a couple shows. We have some plans to do other deco versions of them. We'll be recoloring like they've been doing with the Tyrannosaurus, and I think they're Mastodon. They've done a couple color waves for those. Oops, sorry about that. Didn't turn my phone off.
It's a good ringtone, actually.
It's a fitting ringtone. Yeah. You're a superhero. So
yeah, I usually have like soundtracks from movies and stuff on there and stuff. So But yeah, so they're going to be doing a new color wave of that one probably in the next month or two. But I'm hoping that more people are able to get a hold of them
Oh, look
in
who it is.
the coming months.
Oh man, I feel so bad. I thought I had time. What's been happening is that we're down one car, so I've had to get my wife a ride home from work.
That's a good husband. Good husband.
I thought I would have time to get her back home during rush hour traffic, and I was wrong.
It's
all
okay.
good.
We got to talk about you for a little bit.
It's all good. And how great
all
you
crap.
are.
All crap,
just
by
crap,
the way. Probably
just
like,
crap,
oh, he's late. He's deadbeat. One of our
Don't
biggest
set it.
guests.
Can't they find someone else that can better translate my designs into sculptures?
No.
Oh,
No
man.
way, man.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for
No,
being
you're good,
late,
man. You're
but
good.
seriously,
Don't worry about it.
so sorry, guys.
You're good.
But thank you, James, for coming on. This is a big deal. Like, as you can see around me, there's like James Groman all over the walls, all over the place, literally, like everywhere. And you're a huge influence to me, and I'm sure to everybody listening. Just, man, totally
It is
disrespectful.
appreciated.
I hate myself.
Hey,
No.
Quip, I got
Yes.
to get Brandon out of his self-hatred. I have a question for James, because he mentioned, if I'm allowed to ask it right away. You mentioned
Real quick,
ahead.
Seb,
Go ahead.
before we do that, I know, so James, you were sharing about how people can
Oh,
get
sure.
the,
Yeah.
the Dino Fighter. So I want to finish that thought. I know we had it pulled up real quick, because even here we got Young Hamas Among Us. Looking forward to Kaiju Brooklyn. Was excited to see you'll be there.
Yes.
Yeah, we were just chatting about this dude.
Man, so good.
So if you could continue, James, finish your thought about, how people can actually pick up just the Kaiju One line, and then how people can particularly get that little dude there.
Yeah, and it's like most of the time, things like this, Kaiju One, I've just started to work with. And I know that some of their stuff is offered on their website, but most of the time they are offered through shows. I think they just finished Toy UK, and they had a bunch of these sold out the first day, which it's always gratifying when that happens. But yeah, so it's like, I would say follow me, because whenever they do a release, any company does a release of anything that I've worked on, I always announce it at least a couple days ahead of time to get people prepared. But follow, if you're interested in any of the Dino Fighters figures, follow Kaiju One as well, because they have an Instagram site. I think that's where they do their major announcements and stuff. So you can keep track of when they're doing their releases, when they're doing their lotteries. I know that the T-Rex had a couple lotteries. I think this guy was a lottery at the first show that it was released at. And the lotteries are tough. And I know it's a tough way to sell these things, because lots of people try to get them and only a select few are able to. But it's part of it is that these are quality items that take a long time to actually put together. They're not like Hasbro, where they're mass produced and it's an assembly line that they're pumping out thousands of them a day or an hour, so they don't do large releases of these things like they do for Target and Walmart and things like that. But yeah, I would say the best thing you can do if you're interested in getting one of these is, if you're in the Brooklyn area, I'm not sure how many I'm going to bring. They sent me 3 boxes, and I don't even know how many are in the boxes. I opened up the one box that had just a couple in it, but I have a couple bigger boxes. Not sure how many I'm going to bring. Might be maybe about 8 of them. So yeah, I would say if you can get there early, try to get one that way. But I'll only be selling them at shows. I will not. I don't do online sales and stuff. I leave that all up to my clients, the people that I work with, my partners and stuff. So yeah, just follow me on Instagram. Like I said, I do announcements every time this stuff comes out.
This is such a cool sculpt, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing out. I really want this guy.
Well,
I want to be a part of Lotto.
It's very gratifying, because I just started I did a couple things for Mondo that had a lot of, like, it's the hard surface stuff that sometimes guys like us struggle with a little bit. Not so much the organic shapes and forms and everything. So this guy was very gratifying, because I think I've kind of hit my stride doing these mechanical parts and some of these, the pistons and the screws and nuts and bolts and all that stuff. For anyone that's not a sculptor, some of that stuff can be a little tougher than even doing organic flesh and bone and muscle and that type of thing.
Dude, I asked Brandon because I still don't sculpt hard surface inside of ZBrush. I poly model my stuff inside of Maya. Eventually, I need to learn how to do all that ZBrush modeling stuff, but it is tough. And I feel like yours is different enough. Yours is James Groman 100%, but it also fits really well with the other guys, especially that picture you had of them in the stairway, like in the. That's such a cool shot of them like all together because they look like high-end toys, but they still look like toys. They're still fun. They don't take themselves too seriously.
That's exactly right. Not like Dino Riders was the toy line back in the day. I don't know if it was Tyco or LJN. I'm trying to remember who did those, but they were a little bit more realistic dinosaurs. I mean, yeah, these are definitely have a little kind of a humorous slant to them, which I really, really enjoyed. And it's funny you mentioned that they look like the Yeti looks like part of the line. That was very important to me. Is Sam at Kaiju One, who I was working with, said, "I want you to do all that gnarly stuff that Jim Groman does, and make it fit with the line." And so I'm like, yes, it's very important that this looks like not like on the outskirts of the design aesthetic, that it actually fit in with the rest of the figures, and still with those little Groman details and everything, a little bit nastier expression on the face and stuff. But I'm glad you said that because that was the goal, is making sure it looked like part of the line.
Yeah, I feel like there's like some storytelling with everything that you do, and it really does run through with anything that you have a hand into. And so seeing this one image, just like you said, Sebastian, is like, I want all of them. I just want to like be on the carpet in front of some cartoons, like just mashing them together,
Yeah, I think like we're gonna have to each of us buy one and then we collect them together but separately. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh, just like when we were kids and you had friends and you like put your collections together for the whole line. That'd be fun.
That's it.
Yeah, these actually remind me of a small and I forget who actually made the toys. So I know we talked Dino Riders, definitely inspiration there, but and definitely distinction from that. But even just seeing like the Yeti, and then I think it's really the red dinosaur that reminded me of, do you remember an old video game called Primal Rage?
Oh yeah. Yes.
100%. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And that kind of had like gorilla characters and things. So it's definitely giving me a Primal Rage vibe, but definitely got Groman written all over this.
Well, keep in mind, I'm an old guy, so I know a lot of the history of that game. It was designed and all the figures were sculpted by the guys at Sideshow. When Sideshow was just getting started, they were actually, they had some guys that actually did service work for all kinds of different companies and stuff, as well as putting out their own products. So they're the ones that they had a couple of guys that were sculptors that were pretty good stop motion animators. And so they kind of put together that whole game as far as the sculpting and the figures and the animation and all that stuff very early on. That's got to be in the 90s, right? Is that when that game came out?
Yeah, game came out early to mid 90s, I want to say.
Early 90s.
There was a gentleman named Dan Platt who was a sculptor there for a while at the very beginning, and he's still around. He was amazing. He's worked on film and stuff, but yeah, I think he sculpted most of those.
Have you ever been approached for video game stuff?
Just recently, I did not get the gig, but Atari got a hold of me for some Godzilla stuff.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know how much I could talk about it since I did not get the job, but I just said it was a lot of work and not a lot of time. And I gave them a bid that I don't think they liked my bid. And so I did not get the job. I really wanted to do it so badly, but there was no way I was going to be able to do it for the price that they wanted. And so, yeah, kind of lost that one. It happens. Blancos. There's a game that it's still running right now. It's Blancos Block Party. It's the name of the game. It's from a company called Mythological Games. And I designed, when they first started the game, they hired, I don't know if Jesse Hernandez did some, Tara McPherson did some characters for them. They approached a whole bunch of vinyl designer toy artists to design characters. And it was right at the beginning of like the NFTs and blockchain.
Oh, sure.
And so we got every time our figure was sold, we got paid. And
Oh, really?
so I had 6 figures in the game, and whenever someone purchased them or repurchased them, I got a small cut, as the other artists did as well. And it was very lucrative. It was wonderful. So the game was very, I don't know how popular it was. It's still around, so it must be still going strong. But then they started adding licenses to it. They got the Toho license, and they asked me to do Godzilla figures. So I took their basic blank figure that they use in the game, and I mapped on Mechagodzilla. Who'd I do? I did Mothra, Mechagodzilla, Godzilla. We were going to do a King Ghidorah. We were going to do a Rodan, but it was kind of hard to get those figures mapped onto their blank box that they were using. But yeah, the Godzilla figures came out, and I think you can still purchase them and use them in the game. Yeah, there's some of my figures. You can see them in some of the still images.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it up now. Oop, that's not.
Well, that's awesome. That
there's the Mothra and the Godzilla.
It's awesome that you benefited from that
Upper
phase of entertainment with the NFTs and all that. You know what I mean? I know there's a lot of artists that benefited very well from that kind of thing that happened.
I was asked to do NFTs, but I didn't benefit at all. I just sculpted and they went in the garbage.
Yeah, I credit the gentleman who actually started Mythological Games. Very genuine guy, very on the up and up. He made sure everyone got paid. I don't think that's always the case. So I just got lucky to work with someone who had some credibility and actually some integrity.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's always a plus, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's the little Godzilla.
So you had to. Well,
these are cool.
This was like a full video game workflow. So you had to attach the textures to the model, UVs, and all that stuff. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
That's really clean.
Yeah, and it was, once again, I love a challenge. So taking some of those figures, I kept wanting to add arms onto Mothra, and we just couldn't do it. But so we just printed them on the front of the body. So it works really well.
It does.
That's cool, man.
Awesome. This is fun.
I love that. I love that you just take on new challenges just like that, you know.
You know what? As you get older, I think it keeps you sharp. I think you should always look for something that maybe, you know, I used to work with some artists that sometimes I shared studio space with a number of artists, and sometimes you hear, well, I don't really do that, so find someone else. I'm not that guy. I'm all about trying something new. You know, of course, if it's something that I absolutely can't do, you're not going to take it on. You don't want to make a fool out of yourself. But most of the time, I love taking on a challenge because it keeps you sharp.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so we started getting into some video games. I know you've even talked about or shared. Well, when you were going through your history, I know very similar to BG's background. Initially, you were thinking of going into movies, right? And then you got picked up and kind of like tapped to do some work with toy sculpting, Mad Balls, Mattel, whole 9 yards, right?
Oh yeah, Brandon. So you want to go into film?
Man, I think you and me talked about this before, and it's like I love monster movies. I love horror, special effects, and stuff like that. So growing up, all of the skills that I wanted to put into my toolbox were geared toward, you know, stop motion animation. I think you and I both, when we first met in the person, was like vibing off of Ray Harryhausen and all those films from way back when. And like, I never stopped having that dream until I finally started living that dream. And then somebody was like, oh man, I can't wait to get to my regular day job. This gig stinks. And I was like, what's better than working on props and special effects? And he was like, oh, I design toys. And that's when the light bulb finally went off. And I was like, oh, you can actually like take these skills and put them over there and like make a living and all that stuff. And it was only until late 20s that I really finally found toys as a career path. And just wild that you and I both share the dream of special effects and monster movies, and we actually incorporate that into what we do for toys.
Well, my senior thesis project when I was in college was I did film. I wrote a story. I did a movie poster for the like proposed movie, and I did a bunch of concept work like previs, like illustrations for different scenes in the film. I did some really detailed monster designs for the lead character in the story, and that was my BFA. And all my teachers were like, they were editorial artists, and some of them were some cartoonists. They didn't know. They were like, what? Do people actually do this for a living? You know, it's like, no. And I had read all about, Ralph McQuarrie and all those guys, bringing it back to Star Wars. It's like Ralph McQuarrie was the bomb, man. And even Ray Harryhausen before him did so much conceptual work before the film was made, doing these amazing drawings and paintings and everything. That's the kind of work I wanted to do, and just kind of fell into toys. I graduated. I had taken a couple trips to California. I had one job offer at a graphic studio in California and was just wondering if it was something I was going to take. And then I got the job offer to work on Madballs and a whole bunch of other monster properties at American Greetings. And I decided to jump on that. And in a roundabout way, during the course of my career, it led to working in animation. It led to working with these properties that are film brands that I've loved my whole life. And then there's a guy, Richard Taylor, who owns Weta Workshop in New Zealand. And he's a fan he collects a lot of model kits and resin kits and sculptures. And I met him and we hit it off, and he invited me out, and I eventually did get to work on Battle of the Five Armies with the Hobbit films. And which was at almost 50 something years old, after all these years. And he still remains a friend to this day, because we connected on our love of sculpture and model kits and everything, not so much film. But then he just thought it'd be great for me to come out and have that opportunity.
That's amazing.
Wow, I had no idea you had done work with The Hobbit. Particularly, isn't that the third movie, the Battle of the Five Armies?
Well,
isn't that the big culmination of it?
Yeah. I was I actually flew out there to talk about other projects with the guys at Weta. And Guillermo del Toro had just been there because he was supposed to direct the 3 Hobbit films. But they took so long to get them made that he had other projects he had to get to. And so Peter Jackson stepped in and he took over the directing labors. And we came out there for meetings right at that point. So Richard invited me to come back and work on, he just said The Hobbit. And so when I came back, I worked there when the guys had designed and created a costume for Azog, the big main orc, who eventually ended up being done in CG. So I ended up helping the guy get into his costume, getting the blood splattered all over him and getting him all like battle damage down and everything, and then got him over to the set. It was magnificent, man. And then got to do some designs for the Warg Riders, the guys that the orcs that rode around on the giant wolves, and did some things for Goblin Town, which all these were going to be people in costumes, but they ended up being CG characters by the time I had come home and saw the movie and everything. But most of what I was working on, no film had been, they were just starting to shoot the film, and they shot them back to back. So when I was there, many months later, anything that I had touched all ended up in the very last movie. So it was very strange. Azog is, there's a scene where Gandalf is hanging in a cage and there's a big orc guarding him. And I can't remember what the name of the mountaintop is and stuff, but he's on screen for 30 seconds. And that was supposed to be Azog back in the day. Big 7-foot actor was playing him and everything. But if you ever go back and watch, it's such a great costume, but he still looked good as a CG character.
That is awesome. And so I know you shared
one of the highlights of my life, man, being there.
That's amazing.
I can't imagine being able to be on set while they're doing it, but actually, contributing to that.
Yeah, blood splatter. You're doing like
man,
weathering and everything. Oh, this is a dream come true.
Oh, it is wonderful. It's a funny story. It's like I think the guys they sculpted all his muscles and his legs and everything. All there were appliances, and they were so beautiful that I think people were afraid to put blood on them. So I remember walking up and going, you know what? They were throwing them on the cloth and on the fabric and everything, and I said, he's going to have it everywhere. He's going to have it all over his legs. He's going to have it all over his arms. And they all kind of looked at each other and went, yeah. And everyone, we had a blood splatter party. So it was awesome.
Remember the blood guy? Yeah, he was fun.
Yeah.
We gotta invite him back. We gotta put him on set more times. I
So
do
yeah,
have a quick. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Quick. Sorry.
No. It's okay. So I wanted to get to some of the questions that are in the chat because we were talking about your love for film and multiple series. Of course, we'll eventually start talking Star Wars. We will talk Star Wars, but Justin Mohan asked the question as far as like what movies and TV shows do you watch? Also, so we can ask, do you watch currently, and then which ones had a major influence you feel like on your career or inspiration art wise, even motivating you to get into the arts?
Good question.
Yeah, nowadays I'm a workaholic, and I don't usually watch things when I'm working because it's really tough to keep your eye on a screen and then an eye on a sculpture or a design that you're doing and stuff. I listen to a lot of soundtracks, movie soundtracks and stuff. But when I do watch, I have, I'm a David Lynch fan. Steven Spielberg's got his new film coming out. Spielberg's, the bomb, and even his non-genre films are always wonderful. So anything with Godzilla, there's been that brand is more powerful now than it's ever been. Godzilla -1 was amazing. Probably one of the best Godzilla films in the series, I honestly believe. So yeah, anything like that. That's anything with a monster, of course. I mean, how does that figure? But no, that's anything with a monster. The Alien series that just ran, Alien Earth, was really great.
Yes,
yeah,
Alien
that was
Earth
great.
was great.
That was amazing.
We're just recently, me and my wife, actually, I would never have thought she would get into these, but we started watching old Japanese horror movies like Kwaidan or yeah, what's the other one that some of them are in black and white, 50s, 60s, but they're like, these guys influenced like Sergio Leone that did like Fistful of Dollars and Good, the Bad, the Ugly. He was influenced very much by some of these Japanese directors, but yeah, look up like old 50s, 60s Japanese horror films. They're absolutely beautiful. So that's my jam these days. We've been really getting into those. But my inspirations from when I was very young was King Kong, Ray Harryhausen, any of Harryhausen's films. He was like my other dad, that he just raised me on his stuff. And he was one of the most creative people, some of the most imaginative creature designs ever, being done back in the 50s and 60s and stuff. And that the Cyclops that he did for 7 Point Decima is one of the great creature designs ever done, I believe.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah.
Very much my inspirations. Frank Frazetta.
Awesome. Oh, yep. Fire and Ice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I was going to say that, do you see some of your influences in design coming through on newer releases, newer monsters? Because I know we kind of spitballed back and forth, and I think your Man-Thing inspired the Man-Thing in Werewolf by Night. Is that correct?
Well, I was told I had gone to the West Coast and got a tour of a number of the special effects studios, which was, oh my God, a dream come true. But got to go through K&B Effects and met the gentleman who sculpted the Man-Thing prop that barely makes it into the movie that was done at Disney. And he yelled across the studio to me, Mikey Rotella. He's a badass sculptor, covered with tattoos. He yells across the room at me and he goes, Groman! And he came over and just hit it off, started talking to him. And he mentioned, we had your Man-Thing standing next to us while we were sculpting the Man-Thing for the film. And he's got a stump on his back. And that's because you had a tree growing out of the back of his Mondo. And if you look at him, he's got his rib cages showing and he's got the mushrooms growing out of the side of his body, like those little toadstools and everything. And they said that they had it sitting in the studio while they were working on that. And that was just the most amazing thing I had heard. So
it's one of the coolest sculpts I've ever seen. Everything that you touch really is special, but that I kind of want like your version of Swamp Thing as far as like that whole Kinnerline, like And I'd like to sculpt it too. If you could design it,
Oh.
I'm calling dibs right now.
One thing you'll learn, James, is that Brandon likes to make real-time business deals during our podcast.
Oh man, I mean, just
all day,
dream fulfillment dreams. Could we please work together in some capacity, even if it's not through Mondo? Just as buddies.
Wherever it works, man. I'm all about it.
Shoot your shot.
Quip, I think we should probably leave and just let him just hang out for a little bit.
I know this is
a business
collaboration
portion of the
is
pod.
like, that's something that's kind of come along. You collaborate when you're working at Hasbro. Of course, you're collaborating. You're working with a bunch of artists, and you're anonymous. You're the invisible man at companies like that. But you're still collaborating with people, and the best ideas should be the ones that rise to the top. A lot of times, it's the person with the biggest paycheck. Their ideas rise to the top.
Yeah.
But it should be the best ideas. Should be the things that are the ones that are greenlit and stuff. So. But collaborating is one of the best things about the designer vinyl toy scene is it's very much encouraged, and you see crossovers all the time and everything. And the fact that we basically have been doing it. I've been doing the designs, and then you've been doing the sculpts. And my designs, they just go so far. And I always understand that sculptor is going to have to bring something to the table as well, because there's details that are left out. There's things that you don't see. In a 2D design, it has to be reflected in the round, and you bring it, man. Definitely do.
Well, you make it so easy. Like, no BS. Seriously, like when you design these figures, like you design them so well for the intention to be sculpted. Like there's every single turn that you want. There's every single detail. Like imagine to where it's like, oh, if we can go this far in soft vinyl, we can even go further because you say so on paper, pretty much. And also you say so in sculpt, like seeing your sculpts already made and being, an example is like, that's how far we could push Street Sharks. That's how far we could push Mantis Alien or even Mondo Gecko. So it's like, really, you kind of opened up more of a door in 2D for me to go further in 3D when I see your designs.
Well, and it's the advantage of being an illustrator and a sculptor is that understanding how 3D forms work. I was just at Savannah School of Art and Design and was talking to some students there, and that's what I said. I said I've made so much money over the years just doing schematics, because I understand what needs to go into a sculpture. So I've just done schematics for years and years and years, and I suggested to them learn to do some schematics. Front, side, back, close-up views and stuff like that. That's what makes up a good schematic. And I said, and pick up ZBrush, pick up Nomad, pick up Blender or anything, and just play around with shapes. And once you start understanding how things work as a 3D form, you're going to be that much better at designing stuff in 2D.
So that actually
go ahead.
Brings me to a couple questions that are also in the chat, and then we'll go back to you, Seb. Because you mentioned ZBrush, you mentioned people picking it up and getting used to it. I know we've got a lot of creators who will watch us that are inspired by Brandon, the work that Brandon's doing, the work that Seb's doing, and obviously the work that you've done and continue to do, James. And so I was curious. Justin Mohan's asking, do you use ZBrush, or do you still do a lot of it by hand?
I did the last sculpture I did by hand, traditionally in clay, was for Mondo. Something I just handed in middle of last year, and all my things get scanned. I mean, even when they're done in clay, they're scanned, and a lot of times brought into ZBrush. We do a lot of work on them, everything. But I am almost all. I have to say, I am primarily ZBrush now. Okay. It's all I use. I love it. Not a lot of people go from traditional, make the jump into digital and enjoy it, or are even, most of them are pretty good at it. Most of them, if you understand how a ball of clay works and how to get it to do what you want, I think you're one up on a lot of people that pick up ZBrush. But I absolutely love ZBrush because there's so many things that you can't do with clay that you can do in the digital world. So that's definitely, fair. I would say if you're a sculptor these days, jump back and forth. Pick up a ball of clay and play around with it, but not at the expense of learning ZBrush or a digital platform. Definitely learn both.
Awesome. And then we've got Arriaga here asking that when the industry did start to go digital, were you bummed about it? Because he was. He says he was when 2D animation went away from the mainstream. So just curious.
I'm trying to think because I'm looking back. I'm 65. I'm looking back at, was I bummed when it first started going that way? I don't think so, because I think I'm someone that when I see a new style, an artist that works in a style that sometimes people that work in a new style, you don't like it at first. It's so different. And then you start to like it after all because you appreciate it. There's nothing like it. So you have nothing to compare it to. So we all kind of like go, no, I don't think I like that. But then it starts to grow on you because someone's breaking new ground. They're doing something we've never seen before. I think when I started to see things being done in the computer in 3D, I appreciated it. I think the only thing I didn't like is that I didn't know how to do it. So, but it made me want to learn how to do it, which is always a good motivator. So yeah, I guess I love stop motion animation. So I guess the fear that that's going to go away is always, it's like, I don't want one thing to suffer because another thing comes along. And I think we're getting that point where we still have appreciation for stop motion, 2D animation, computer animation. We're starting to work up an appreciation for AI art, which I hope never quite catches on.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
I think there's room for multiple ways of doing something, and we have all these choices, all these different ways of seeing entertainment.
Well, even with stop motion, you have all of these stop motion artists and animators using like toys that Mattel is doing now, and they're doing ads with stop motion. And one of them, I think his first name is Justin. I don't remember his last name, but he's done work with Leica, and he does a lot of the action figure toys, stop motion. And the fact that he can get such fluid animations out of regular toys, you know what I mean? They're not like crazy articulated toys. And the fun thing is that he shows all of his videos. I'll try and find it at some point what is Instagram, but he shows the videos of him acting everything out. And at this point, his kids are older, so they're all part of the battle, and they're all really good at it. So they script everything, like the shots, the way they frame everything, the action itself, and then he just executes it. But
those are spectacular, man. Those little animations.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like probably 10 years ago, I was really into Paranorman, Coraline, those kinds of shows. They blew my mind, and I remember realizing that they started adding kind of 3D stuff, like digital, into their workflow. How they would
3D printing.
The faces. Yeah, they split the faces to make the expressions.
The swap outs.
But yeah, I agree with you. The world that everyone wants to live in, hopefully, is that there's a space for all of it, and it's not just. It should be a financial thing because every artist needs to get paid, but that shouldn't be the main reason of why we do stuff. It should be like a really nice side effect, I think. But
appreciate the art of it.
Yeah, 100%. Love it, the craft.
And NECA took all my Mutant Ninja Turtle Universal Monsters figures. Every one of them has a little short animated bit. And some of them interact with each other, and they're so cool. They're so
Speaking of, I kept this guy right next to my desk.
You gotta keep Mummy Mike, especially.
These really are some of my favorite turtles. Like, oh my god! Plus, it's just peanut butter and jelly with the Universal monsters and Ninja Turtles. Like, spark of genius. This is probably the best collectibles like in my collection. Seriously.
That was one of the funnest things I've done in a long time. And working with an old friend at NECA, who I had worked with at DC Comics and stuff, and Trevor Zammit. I don't know if you've ever met Trevor. He's awesome. He is the Mutant Ninja Turtle guru at NECA. He knows more about that brand than just about anyone on the planet. But that was so fun. And I don't know if you know Anthony Cipriano, the sculptor.
I do not.
I haven't met him yet. No.
Yeah, look him up. He's a traditional sculptor. He's about my age. Traditional sculptor from back in the day. He did stuff, model kits and everything. And then I remember when he struggled with making that transition, and now he's one of the top digital sculptors on the market today. So he's doing a lot of work.
Awesome.
But he did all
makes
those
sense.
Universal monsters, or most of them. He did most of the Universal monsters.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Okay, so Seb, did you have another question?
No,
before
I
pull
feel
up some of
like
the
I
Star
feel like
Wars
it might
work?
be time to pivot into Star Wars. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna pull up some
Oh,
of the work
boy.
that you've done. I've got a
I wait.
PDF here of
You know what? I wore a special Star Wars shirt.
Hold on.
I have
I'll make it big.
Yoda best.
Yoda
Yoda
best.
best.
Oh, you're the best. Okay, you're the best.
I
What
love
is
it.
Yoda best?
Yeah,
Yoda
yeah,
best.
you're the best.
Nice.
It's
Okay, let
actually
me-
my niece. She had a birthday, and it was actually Star Wars themed. And
Oh,
so I
whoa.
got Yoda best uncle down here. So that was like one of the theme shirts. Everybody had like, this is the way or whatever. It was awesome.
that is awesome. And so here we have a wire framed
Armature here.
something that we're starting to build towards. Hold on, let me
Can
zoom
we
in
get
so
a
little
date?
more.
Can we get a date of when you put this together?
Yes, this-
You
Oh,
can
look
sit down
at,
here.
look at the name.
It's the Rancor.
Yeah, it's
That's so
about.
cool.
Let me think. I left American Greetings and went freelance about 92.
Mhm.
Okay.
And this is probably 1994. This was Ertl Collectibles, which was a very big collectible company at the time. They did a lot of farm like toys and tractors and stuff like that, but they got the Star Wars license. I did some African animals for them, which was always fun. But then they got the job to do these vinyl figures of characters from the Star Wars movies. And I had just done a Creature from Black Lagoon for a company that really put me on the map. A lot of people were really excited when they saw my creature, and the people at Ertl had seen my Creature from Black Lagoon. And they said, "You've got to do our Rancor." And the Rancor is hands down my favorite creature in the Star Wars universe. So
Man,
I jumped on it. So,
this is amazing.
That's awesome.
and once again, this
Wow.
is a piece that really it helped put me on the map. Because Brandon, you probably get this. It's like when you're in the zone. I was in the zone. I just went into another world sculpting this thing, getting the textures just right. And
Dude, the thing that impresses me is the gravity that you give it. You know what I mean? It almost looks like you sculpted it without the gravity, and you put it in the oven for like 2 minutes, and then it just settled the right way.
Settled in the right way. All
Like
the
it has-
muscles came
it has-
together.
yeah, it has enough sag. Everything. The skin just feels
Yeah.
tight
That is
but
a good
loose at the
point.
same time. It's
hey,
crazy.
I credit Phil Tippett with that. Phil Tippett, who
Yeah.
designed the character. That dude, that's in the design. I'm just trying to imitate it.
Okay.
Did you
And,
get a lot of reference from the studio when you were making this up? Like, obviously, the movie had already probably came out when you were
Well,
sculpting
also
this.
1994, there's the only things that really exist on the market are anything that you can find in any of the art of books that were released. There was a great Japanese book called the Star Wars Chronicles that came out. You can still find it on eBay. Even to this day, it's one of the best Star Wars books you can buy. It's a big hardcover, comes in a slipcase that has a TIE fighter window cut out on the front of it. But look it up. It's the Star Wars Chronicles. It had some things in it that I had never seen anywhere else. But then Lucasfilm did send us some photos of the maquette that Phil Tippett had sculpted. Really crappy little Xeroxes and stuff. But then eventually I did get some nice close-up images of the skin detail, because when I first sent it in to be approved, they said it had too much detail on it.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And
I don't-
I actually
I don't
had to go
believe
in and
that.
kind of sand down some of the forearm and tops of the legs, because, in Phil Tippett's defense, he was thinking that skin, it's wrinkly and covered with warts, but it's sagging on the bone and the muscle, and it's going to tighten up at the top of the leg. And then all that detail is going to be all saggy and everything at the bottom. So I had to kind of get rid of some of that detail up on the upper arms and everything. And hey, whatever made it closer to what his original design looked like, I was all for it. So
It's amazing.
Still kind of proud of this guy.
I mean,
You
as
should.
you
I
should
have
be.
a vague memory of seeing this at my local hobby shop, and I think it was too expensive for me and my dad to buy. But like, we would spend our weekends. Me and my dad love model kits, and he's a bigger nerd than me, and got me into building models and just kind of living out my geeky dreams and comic books and all this stuff. And our local, our only hobby shop had tractor model kits, cars, but my jam was always the monsters, the creatures, and the spaceships. And I think now that I reflect back on it, building those model kits of like, Death Stars or TIE Fighters actually helped me, model stuff now with hard surface or even these organic ones. Just knowing how the cookies are made really does help.
That's for sure. Because when I see a great sculpture, I study it. Going to learn from somebody else's, amazing detail and then wonder how they did it and try to figure out how would I do it if I was trying to get that. The pebbly detail on this Rancor, I just could not get it right by sculpting it in Super Sculpey. So I took 2-part epoxy, the clear stuff that sets up 10 minutes. I would mix up a little puddle of it, and I would dip a piece of wire, dab it on, dip it again, dab it on. I did that thousands of times. So every little bump on that guy is one little dab of
my goodness.
Of this,
that's awesome.
Epoxy.
That's amazing. And how many pieces did this break down for final, for production and stuff like that? Obviously,
I guess I don't have any photos of that. I think it's probably 20.
20 pieces, yeah.
Fingers were separate because they had a big wicked curl to them, and they couldn't allow the mold properly.
Yeah.
But I think the head was pretty much intact and would just glue on the front of the body. But back in the day, this is something that's going to shock you guys, but we all did it. All the sculptors that we did these resin model kits and stuff. I sculpted that Rancor complete as a figure. I think I have photos of the actual sculpture, the sculpture that we were looking at. I had a friend, when you're done with it and it's been approved, I had a friend hold it, and I took a jeweler's saw and I cut the saw.
Oh my God.
Then I would cut
nerve-wracking.
and then I would cut the tail off. And it's like you had to do all that, and then you go back and clean it all up.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
And you'd be swearing the whole time.
Yeah. Do you never got nervous?
Well, you knew you'd be able to fix it. It's just like, how much damage can I avoid doing? How much can I cut this thing up and not have to do 3 days of fixes?
Oh my goodness. This is incredible. Love it.
Yes.
And he's about maybe 10 inches tall, really wide. It's a big figure. So, yeah.
And then this inspired a full size. I'm looking now to see if I can switch over to we'll come back to the file and we'll go to the next figure that you have the sculpts. But I want to jump onto your Instagram because somebody took that work that you put into that particular Ertl figure and created something that is mind-boggling. Hold on, let me see. I gotta scroll.
Life-size sculpt?
Yeah, the life-size sculpture of the Rancor.
Yeah, and I just happened upon their site, and I don't know if they had put my name, they had tagged me, and I came across it, and I said, "That's my sculpture." They kind of took the measurements off it and everything. I mean, it's still once again, it's Phil Tippett's design, and I was trying to match that as close as possible. But the fact they used my translation of Phil Tippett's to do that big giant figure was so impressive. It is really, really cool.
Yeah, and I'm scrolling. How about, rather than y'all waiting for me to scroll, I'm going to pull up the other file again. I should have just sent it to myself, the post, so I could have just pulled it up. But let's go down here to another familiar Star Wars creature, and then we'll double back to the Rancor talk. Look at that little guy. Hey.
Oh, yeah. And this was, they love the Rancor. Rancor did really well for them, so they wanted to do a Luke Skywalker on the Tauntaun. Which, to be honest, didn't excite me as much as the Rancor. But when I started to get into it, the Rancor is such a cool design as well, and really got into this. And really, I got a lot more and better reference on this. They sent me, there was a full-size prop that they built to have Mark Hamill actually sit on the back of, and I got photos sent to me of that prop and close-ups of the face. And then they had separate photos of every little bag, side pouch, knapsack, everything that was strapped onto his saddle. They sent separate photos of that stuff. So I had great reference. And this guy is loaded down with details that were all separate pieces that were going to go onto his saddle. And then I worked really hard on getting a likeness of Mark Hamill, because in this film, of course, we all know he had the accident where it damaged his face. And there were legends. There was always the legend of George Lucas coming into the hospital and making sure that they reconstructed his face properly. I heard that story so many times, but I wanted to get that. Of course, that's how he looks in the movie, so I want to make sure that it looked more like that. Even though I still think that they wrote the Wampa scene to kind of help explain that. I've been told they did, but I have to believe that they did. It just seems to make so much sense. So, that was my Luke Skywalker likeness, but you don't really see it there. But his face got a lot rounder and a little bit more areas, like his lip was totally different. His nose was totally different. But yeah, I worked really hard to try to get that likeness right, getting all the fabric, wrinkles, got a scarf around his neck. I mean, those costumes, of course, are amazing. All the quilting in the front.
Now, is this wax? Is that your wax pass, or
these are all super sculpted?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and then I had a friend in the studio that was really good on a lathe, so he turned the little lightsaber for me, and then I glued all little parts onto it and stuff. And so I would get help every once in a while when I had to do something that I was kind of out of my skill set.
Were you working in a studio where there was a lot of artists around?
I had a studio with like 4 very good friends.
Okay.
They all worked with me at American Greetings, and we all decided to get a studio together and just do freelance.
Okay.
So we shared jobs. We worked on our own jobs. We had our own clients. But every once in a while, when they needed something sculpted, I would sculpt for them. If I needed something, there was a guy that was a really good machinist. He could do all kinds of real cool mechanical parts for me and stuff. So I don't have a lot of good photos of this figure for a couple reasons. The model kit was canceled because they were getting ready to release the prequels, and the prequels were since the prequels were going to be coming out, they raised the royalty that they were requiring from anyone that was licensing Star Wars. And so Erdl could not afford the royalty and still make a profit, so they canceled this. It was
that stinks.
Dang,
yeah, but I did get a casting of it, and I assembled the casting, and that's what you're looking at right here. Is because I gotta have a copy of it. I put so much work into it. I really like how it came out. It got stolen out of the front of my studio.
What?
Oh my God.
And
that's why we
somebody
can't have nice
broke into
things.
my studio at one night and stole a bunch of stuff out of it, and they stole this thing, and it was like pretty much, it was kind of a one of a kind. Even though the guy who had done the castings of it for me, he actually made a few extra castings, you know what I mean, which you're not really supposed to do. But he made some extra castings for him and friends and everything. So this got stolen, bummed me out. I had no copy of it or anything. I still have the original sculpture. But many years later, I had mentioned to a gentleman that lives on the West Coast that I did a job for him. And he paid me. And I mentioned that I didn't have a copy of this sculpture. He found one.
That's awesome.
Because every once in a while, things like this will come up on eBay. Someone gets one from someone who gets one from someone, and then they end up on eBay. He got it on eBay for me and sent it to me. It was amazing. So I do have a copy of this now.
Nice.
I'm just looking at the hair detail, and I'm working on like a hairy character right now. And like it takes hours to get right, just to try to finesse it the right way in the right direction. Right. So I could only imagine.
And I started, and then I redo it, and then I will get a whole leg done, and I don't like it, and I will go back and smooth it all back down, start all over again. I don't get the flow right for the muscles. Yeah, so it is tough.
James, do you ever, now that you do digital, do you compare like clay James with digital James? And does that ever is that ever satisfying, or is it frustrating?
It's satisfying because I still want it to look like a James Groman sculpture. And when I did this guy, I made a fur brush,
Mm-hmm.
and I like how it came out, but it doesn't really look as much like the way I used to sculpt fur. It kind of does because it's Jim Groman doing it, but I still like it, but it's different than the way my fur looked when I was doing it traditionally. So I guess that's frustrating. I still want people, if someone looks at a sculpture and they don't think it's a sculpture I did, oh, that doesn't look like something you would do. That's I don't like that. I want people to be able to recognize it as, hey, that looks like something, that's a James Groman piece, or that's a James Groman sculpture. That's why when you're doing something like this figure right here, the Tauntaun, it has to look movie. It's a movie likeness. It's got to look perfect. Not a lot of room for style there. I understand that. I prefer the stuff where I can put a little bit of my own style into it. There's guys that do the movie perfect stuff so amazing. And I really respect that, but I prefer when I can put some of my own style into it. And I'm trying to do that more and more with ZBrush, which is hard. It's a little harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was curious, like when or what project really was when you were able to, I guess, pronounce your artistic touches the most? Was it the Mad Balls? Was it in any of those things where you were designing, sculpting, executing everything on basically your own terms? Like I'd like to know when that started, to where you're like, that's signature me. That's 100%.
Back in the 90s, there's the resin model kit. There was a whole movement with resin model kits. They were called garage kits. Like a garage band. There were a bunch of guys that got together and say, hey, let's make a figure and let's sell it and we're going to be millionaires. and they just cast them up in resin and they sell them at shows in a little cardboard box. And that was a big thing for a while through the 90s and stuff. And people still do it. And I did a couple original characters in that genre and kind of made a name for myself with some of the guys that worked in the garage kit field. That's what led to the Creature from the Black Lagoon for a company that licensed it, which led to the Rancor, which led to all this other stuff. So I did original stuff in the 90s that was just me. And it did eventually get my name out there where I was starting to do more licensed stuff. But then I think when I did Rotten Rex, King Corpse, which are the designer vinyl toys that I'm really known for in like 2014, 15, 16, 17, when I did those figures, that was me. That was all me, my sensibilities, the way I want to do the detail, the way I want to design the figure. And those kind of led to a lot of the work I did mostly through the early 2000s. Now I've been doing a lot of licensed stuff lately, but I was doing a lot of original stuff there for a long time. Still do some original stuff to this day, but it seems like I've really gone the licensing route the last 15 years or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we can, any more questions? Were you about to say something?
I was just saying, like finding your artistic voice can be hard, especially when, like you have a job to do. So they're saying like, hey, it needs to be exactly like this, don't deviate. Here's the turns. Here's the thing. Here's the deadline. Boom. Right. So like finding your voice is very important. And I think I'm still on that path, and hopefully I could find ways of like putting the BG flair on more things that I do. And you're a huge inspiration for that.
Yeah. And you'll find that certain works that you do are kind of leaps forward. You might be kind of in a rut where you're doing things they have to adhere to a specific design that's already been approved, but then there might be one that you kind of slip something in there like that. This is the way I want it to be.
Yeah. Dude, I was gonna ask you that because
definitely.
I saw a post. I think it was a comic book artist or something along the lines that drew a bunch of, I think it was Marvel stuff, and he couldn't sign the work, and I don't think they mentioned anywhere that it was his work. So he snuck in his name in the designs, like in the like a little pattern on the leather like patch or whatever. He would just put like 2 initials, and he always changed it. And I guess he made a video talking about how in the park you can go and find his
I've
initials.
seen that.
And
Yeah.
so I was curious if you ever did anything like that with any of your sculptures. You don't have to mention, if you did it, you don't have to mention which ones. But I know I've never done it because.
Do it for your next
Yeah.
sculpt, please. Do it. Just
As long
sneak
as
it
it's
in
not
there.
like it's not it's not something that calls too much attention to it and everything, because of course it's the artwork itself that's most important. But no, there was when I left American Greetings, I was still sculpting for American Greetings toys and stuff, and they did a line of toys called Body Wars. And Body Wars was like you buy a little playset that's a brain, and it pops open. There's a little soldier that protects your body from germs and stuff. And a lot of the play sets had like winding entrails and guts and everything, and I worked JG into as many of them as I could. And it's
so cool.
in the design, you can find it in there and stuff. So I have to go back and look at those toys and see, because some of them, when they made the molds, they cropped off the bottom of it of the initials on one of the play sets and stuff. But yeah, I guess that's probably the best example of it when I was working on those sculptures.
Look at that. You're ahead of the game, man.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That means
Egomaniac.
SG underneath something, you gotta put that in there.
Got a question from Chris Babinski for you, James. I think this is in reference to when you were doing the hair on the Yeti figure. So are you dropping an IMM are you dropping an IMM or dragging a curve for the hair?
I'm not an IMM,
guy,
right?
I know the tools I'm using. I don't know the names of a lot of them, but I go in, I will create a brush that is a tell me what the IMM is, because I think
insert mesh.
That type
of brush.
I make an insert mesh brush. Yes. And that's something I just learned to do in the last month. So
dude, I love the fact that you just learn something so quickly and you implement it into your professional workflow. It's like when I graduated, when I went to college, I bought a motorcycle without knowing how to ride it. And I learned how to ride it. I bought a stick shift without knowing how to drive a stick shift. None of these sound like good ideas, but it's so relatable to me that you can just like learn something quickly and just like decide to push it. It's almost like Pixar movies back in the day. Every movie would push a new technology, right? Like, okay, this new movie we're gonna do fur. This new movie we're gonna do like fluids, like simulations,
That's
water,
right.
or whatever. It's that kind of mindset where like we're never comfortable. We're always, well, I don't want to put we, speaking of you, but artists a lot of the time seem to not be comfortable staying still. They're always just moving the needle. Just eventually, I don't know if there is enough space for the needle to move, but yeah.
Well, there's some questions about ZBrush in the chat I see, and I maybe this is something that will help some people because it really helped me. Is when I learned ZBrush, I took a class with a good friend of mine, David Igo, who's like a very show. And so David, his first class was like, see all these things up at the top of the screen, all these tools. You don't need any of them. You don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that. Changed my life.
Yeah.
But that being said, so anyone that's interested in learning ZBrush, when you look at that screen and it's so intimidating, don't let it intimidate you, because there's so much on there that you don't need to learn it until you need to learn it.
True.
Learn how to open up a tool, push, pull, use the move tool for 3 hours, just moving it around, do everything you can with that move tool, and then move on to like the damn standard, start cutting in or pulling out, and then just keep it simple at first. And then eventually, like 3 months down the line, you might say, I want to learn a better way to do fur. You understand the program now. You find that way to do fur, you just added something new. Live Booleans, I just learned it.
Oh, Booleans, yeah, those are crazy.
I was doing everything without those, and I just said, you know what? I was wondering what those are. I'm going to try them, and now they've changed the way I do things. So
I love it.
It's like one thing at a time.
Get started. Yeah, get started building blocks.
The key is getting started.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I use like 10% of what ZBrush has to offer.
Yes, I am probably the same way with Photoshop.
Sure.
I think I'm the
It's
same
crazy to
with
think
Photoshop
that,
or
but
Illustrator.
yeah.
Hey, when I
But
sculpt
Dave,
in
I
clay, I
know
use
that-
like 3 tools when I sculpt in
Sure.
clay. That's all I use.
But that's a good note there, James, to say Dave Igo, because his work is so incredible
Yeah.
that you would be like, oh, I got to learn everything that he does. And if he's there to say like, oh, you don't even need this, that's really encouraging, because
Mhm.
that program really can be intimidating for anybody just popping it on, because there is a lot of bells and whistles that goes into it. I don't think any sculptor that I know has it all the way mastered, because it's always upgrading, a new
Right.
tool will come in, and you're just like, oh, geez, I don't know anything about this.
Oh, look at these guys, dude.
Oh, these are so fun.
So I know. So great chatting about the sculpting process, the creative process. Always inspirational just chatting with BG and Sebastian, and particularly to have you here to also encourage listeners to just get started, do things. Nobody expects you to be an expert at it to begin with,
Yes.
but
Yes.
repetition, just get used to it, get familiar with it so that you can build confidence as you go.
Well said.
But yeah, pivoting here to some play school work you did, because I particularly remember these. These are kind of on the heels of, what were they, the Rescue Heroes or something that were
Yes.
also out there. But it's kind of like bringing those Rescue Heroes into the Star Wars universe with the Jedi Force figures here that you did for play school. So talk to us a little bit about this kind of form factor.
Yeah, this was for a while, and you mentioned it, Rescue Heroes. It was very hot, and for a
Mhm.
while, that's all I was doing. Everybody that called me to do freelance were like, "I want to kind of like Rescue Heroes. Can you make it look like Rescue Heroes?" I was doing that for everybody. Eventually, I was freelancing. I was doing a lot of big model kits as well. The styrene, like hundreds of pieces, and Toys R Us had a bunch. They had a whole aisle that had model kits in it like this. They weren't selling anymore. Nobody had the patience or the attention span to build model kits. I was losing a lot of work. So Hasbro got a hold of me, and they offered me a job. I went interviewed, a whole day of interviewing. I must have interviewed with 20, 25 people. Eventually got offered the job. I didn't want the job. I just went in to see Hasbro. I wanted to see what it looked like. As I sat there, I fell in love with the plates.
Okay.
It's so amazing. As a toy designer, it's like Mecca, So
is that the same? Is the office still the same now as you visited?
Oh, I hear they're moving. I heard they're moving out of Rhode Island, which is crazy. And I heard it from a pretty reliable source. I hope I'm not like beating everyone to the punch, but yeah, the last I was there, I went there even after I left a couple times because I was freelancing for them after I left as well. But yeah, I got hired. I was put on a couple other projects, GoBots and Transformers, and kind of a G.I. Joe type line called Major Powers.
Remember that?
Then they wanted to do a preschool Star Wars line, and they had already done a little super deformed ones that my boss had worked on. And my boss, Ed Duncan, who's like very well-known toy designer, he works for Mattel now and everything. He's very talented. He kind of created that look of the little super deformed Star Wars characters that now is a staple of the Hasbro toy lines. But then I was put in charge of the ones that are more Rescue Hero style. And, of course, they're kind of slobber toys. They're made for younger kids and no sharp edges. And you have to be very careful that the lightsabers aren't too pointy and that they don't stand up by themselves so a kid can fall on them. And so that was challenging to keep these characters looking cool and still get a semi-likeness without really getting a likeness. Everything kind of big and bulky and rounded, and it was very fun. But this was the line I was kind of in charge of. So anyone that was working on the sculptures, because I wasn't sculpting these at the time, they would come to me and I would approve them, and I would do a lot of design work. This was a Boga lizard that was in the
that is awesome.
Is it the second film, Attack of the Clones?
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah.
And
I want to say that's the episode 3 though. Like,
oh, is he riding it away from Grievous?
Yeah.
Yeah, Grievous showed up in 3.
oh, is that episode 3?
Yeah.
I'm a nerd for Star Wars. I'm sorry, I had to cut it.
Well,
no, hey,
good,
we appreciate it.
I am not such a fan of the prequels. I'm more of an original trilogy guy. But I worked at Hasbro as these movies were being shot, and every day we'd get like boxes and boxes of CDs that would have all the reference materials. Like they'd take like hundreds of shots of one costume.
That's awesome.
Front, side, close up, every single prop that you can think of, multiple hundreds. And so you have to go into this library room and sign out whatever disc you needed. Then you had to get it back as quick as you can, get your reference that you need. And they really kept control of that stuff. They didn't want it getting out into, general populace, and ended up on every fan site or fan publication. So that was really cool, seeing everything way ahead of all the features that were going to be in the movies and what the costumes looked like and the actors and all that stuff. And so that was really exciting. But this was one of the favorite. This creature's not even in the movie very long. It's like barely in there. But I loved it. I thought it was such a great concept and everything. So I really loved working on this one in particular.
That's really fun. I still remember the sound that this creature makes in the movie. I'm not going to do it. But if you guys know, you guys know. It's like kind of such a warble. Weird. Yeah, such a warble. And it's just really weird.
Dude, I love the fact that you had all that reference, because I remember it's a good amount of years back now. I worked on a Spider-Man for a theme park, like it was a Disney, I think it was Paris. So we did some stuff that would only live in renders for marketing. And we're working on the Spidey suit, and I couldn't find any reference for it. Like the texture, the patterns were different. It had some weird like web shooters that I had never seen before. And for the life of us, we didn't know what was going on. And I don't think they received anything from the client themselves. So we did what we could until like a year and a half later when it got released. Then we realized that it was a specific park suit because they couldn't use the movie suits in the park. So now you see it everywhere because it's this specific Spidey suit for like Disneyland or World or whatever. But it's interesting trying to troubleshoot those things when you don't have any reference. So it's really cool that.
Yeah, we didn't know storylines or anything.
You just knew, but it was somebody's job to take all those photos, right? Like there must have been a person that had a job to do that. And I wonder if it was specific for guys like you or if they used those photos for a bunch of other stuff.
It's all for licensing. George Lucas kind of created that whole, like the super licenses. I think he held on to the licensing rights when he did the original movie because he saw what was going to happen. He knew how big these movies were going to be, and he wanted to have a piece of it. Did not want to lose the merchandising end of it, and it was very one of the smartest moves in the history of film. With merchandising. So. And one of the coolest things in the world was getting the spaceships.
Sure.
All the reference on the spaceships, the models coming in, and you're looking at them. And what was so wonderful about the designs is they were like next generation or previous generation TIE fighters, a design that would eventually become a TIE fighter. So you saw all those details worked into the designs, things that will eventually evolve into these designs that we all know and love from the original films.
Designs.
It was just crazy cool.
That's awesome.
Does it ever hurt to like keep these secrets in the steel vault for years and years before like it comes? Because I know like sometimes when we're getting something and you're like, God, I just wish I could tell somebody besides my wife who doesn't really care too much about all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, is it hard?
We would go to,
just like zip.
At Hasbro, we would go to lunch and we'd be sitting in a restaurant and be packed with people. And I remember being with my boss. And I'm so excited. I'm going, oh, isn't it so great? I'm talking about what's going to happen in the movie. And he's going, hey, it's going to take one person sitting next to you that knows what you're talking about, knows you work at Hasbro, and you're going to be in trouble. And it's very true. I mean, this stuff is like, it's big news.
What is it, like the guys leaving prototypes of iPhones at the bar or something?
Oh, yeah.
We've seen that. Yep.
At least I'm glad that most of you, well, Quip has a YouTube name, but James, you have a regular name, so does Brandon. But when I talk to my wife about our YouTube community, I just use like pseudonyms and just weird things, like Mad Hatter or all this stuff or whatever, and she doesn't know what I'm talking about. I don't know if she'll ever get used to it, but we'll see. It's just fun.
It is fun, but my name is my brand, so
100%.
That's why I feel like it's important to have that as part of the because if it's like, if I had come up with some fancy name that has nothing to do with me, there's someone that can actually do that. They'll do something that sounds just like it.
Well, we talked about it in a little bit of our coffee shop when I went that same direction, and not because I love my name that much, but I figured I wanted people that saw me to basically build a link to that name, whether it was on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. And it's actually worked pretty well, because I remember I had like a cool name for my for the toys section, and I remember changing it, and it didn't have the same, it didn't roll the tongue like the other one did. And I told my younger brother, and he's like, "But why would you do that? It's just your name, there's nothing special about it or whatever." But eventually enough people say it that it kind of becomes a thing. It becomes its own sound. And
exactly. I'll if someone like Quicks, think of Quicks. He does a lot of vinyl toy design work and everything. He's really hot right now. I'm the guy that's kind of I'm circumnavigating everything and trying to find out what's his real name. I want to know what his real name. I want to know who this guy is. Such amazing work and everything. It's like Banksy. We all want to know who Banksy is, or do we? I don't know.
Hey, don't be mad. I still don't know Quip's real name. I really don't.
I heard it and I couldn't.
I'm joking.
What it is.
When he told me his name, I felt like the clouds opened up and just this God ray, just like.
I was like, really?
Yeah.
Is that it? Seriously? I was like, okay.
Also, it's Anyways.
All good.
Yeah. Keep it.
It's a little different. So I get it though. What you're all talking about is when you're an artist and you're trying to get your name out there, right? So Banksy, all right, that's a cool kind of a pseudonym because he's trying to maintain anonymity, right?
Yeah, that's his whole stick. Yep.
Exactly. Versus, Sebastian Gomez, if you're trying to get your name out there, you want that name recognition, Brandon Gash and James Groman, like you do want people to associate you with your name, right? To the point to where people are even saying, as you mentioned earlier, James, even that design is very Groman-esque. I could see the Groman inspiration behind that, or I wonder if he did it. Kind of developing your own visual style. And a lot of that from an art perspective, it makes sense that you would want your name associated with that. Plus, when people are writing checks, you don't want to get into this weird situation of, this name or that name, is it an LLC? Like, do you have to carry your paperwork to cash those? It can become a whole thing. Yeah.
So wait, people that make your checks to Quip, they don't put Quip on the checks?
Oh, no.
Well, one thing too, I think if you have a name, at least, people know how it's like, oh, who sculpted that? And they're like, oh, that's James, that's Sebastian, that's Brandon. And it's like a little harder to nail down somebody who's like, oh, that's Dead Mouse 5000 FT or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I don't know how to reach that.
Or being around as long as I have, I was working in the 90s and in the 80s. So for me to come up with a handle of some kind didn't make sense, because then I would confuse people, because I already had built a name before that was kind of a thing.
You were stuck. So, you were too good too early, man.
Just
too good too early. Can't go
time
back.
Served. It's been around so long.
I don't know. I feel like, James, you've had like 6 moments in your life where you peaked. Normally people peak and go down, but you just keep peaking, dude.
And I think so. I will say, I was going to ask the question, because you've talked about pivoting, and it feels like we can make a film of your life, and it's like Forrest Gump just being in different places, you know, of showing up in the movie and working on this property and being able to pivot and remaining flexible and always growing and learning. What would you say is a personal motivation of yours to continue to grow, to not want to stagnate? Like, what motivates you to just want to learn new things?
It makes me feel young.
Mm.
That there's at my age something that happens with guys in their 60s that have been doing artists in particular. They get jaded, and you get a lot of them get tired, and maybe they've taken their lumps because God knows I've taken my lumps over the years, but I think it's because I love what I do so much. It gets me through everything. And people say things that might hurt someone else's feelings. They don't hurt my feelings. They just make me want to go be better. I'm very motivated when I see guys like Brandon, and I see guys like Sebastian doing young artists doing amazing art. It makes me want to be relevant still. A lot of us older guys, we're not relevant anymore. We don't change our styles, or our styles go out of style. And when I see young artists, that motivates me to want to be relevant and make me work harder.
That's awesome.
And to the Forrest Gump thing, it's like I've been lucky in some ways, but I also think people make their own luck. And it's like I've never been I never hid my light under a bushel. If I wanted to know something, I went and found out what it was. If I wanted to meet somebody, I went and met that person. I would knock someone's door down to get to work on a job that I wanted to work on. And I used to teach at the college I went to here in Cleveland. And I would tell students, it's like, you cannot be the wallflower, man. You make your own opportunities. If you're sitting back waiting for everyone to find you, it can happen, but it is so rare. You've got to put yourself in places where things are going to happen for you.
Yeah. My mom would say all the time, like, closed mouths don't get fed. Boom. So you have to get out there. You have to talk to people. And, I think maybe, I'm not speaking for all of the younger generation. Maybe they feel a way about like having their devices, kind of just being in it all the time and not having a gift of gab to maybe approach somebody at a con or, see you and go up to the table and say like, hey, like, this is so cool. You inspire me. Like, how'd you get into it and start gabbing? I think I was that way with you.
Oh yeah, dude. I had
a flop sweat, but I wanted to know like who you were and like how much you inspired me to want to jump into this. And you were so approachable. And I think that's
I'll bet you something that when you were talking to me, I'll bet you I could tell that you were an artist by talking to you.
I think there was a click. There was
it the muscles? That
no, it wasn't the muscles.
I asked him if he could pose for some reference.
He was like, "Hey,
are you a Greek god?"
No.
I love meeting young artists, and so when you're talking to someone, you can just tell by the questions that they ask and everything that whether they're an artist or not. And I always say, "Can you show me something on your phone? Can you show me?" Mm-hmm. So having that stuff in your back pocket all the time.
Yeah.
Is a really good thing because you don't. If I'm somewhere and I'm going out with my wife to a restaurant and we're in California or something, if I make sure I have a stack of cards in my wallet because you never know who you're going to run into, you're going to end up talking to and stuff. You always got to be prepared. And if you go to a show like you talking to me, hopefully I asked to see some of your work and stuff because that's what I usually do. I want people to feel like that it has value. Their work has value. And because I feel like my work has value. And if you don't value it, no one's going to value it. So you've got to value your own work.
100%.
Absolutely. So with that, one, great motivation. Great conversation for a lot of the creatives who we do rub elbows with that are in the chat. Like a lot of people who are even just listening in, They'll do like custom toys, or whether it's even just honing the craft of developing their own YouTube channel to speak about some of the art that either they're creating, that other people are creating, but just that notion that, you know, you have to like and love what it is you're doing. I know that's the conversation even when we started BLERD Alert between Brandon and Sebastian of, you know, are we going to be chasing numbers? Do we want to, you know, play off of different trends and algorithms, or do we just want to like what it is that we're putting out there in the space that we're building for creatives, and to invite artists to come on and share, or just kick back and just chop it up with us? So that is definitely love that notion, and we are smelling what you're selling, James. But with that, I have a fun little game. So hold on one second. That I did want to do in the spirit of May the 4th. Hold on.
Is this trivia?
May the 4th be
Oh
with
boy,
you. It's not trivia.
So
it's just, it's a conversation.
Okay, cool.
Conversation that we're gonna have, and that we're also going to invite the chat to contribute along with. But it's a little game called Elimination. And what we're gonna do is, let me see if I can share the screen. Okay, boom. So we are talking Star Wars. And we're gonna go through the different trilogies to say, okay, so it's elimination. Which two would you get rid of in this particular trilogy? And then which one are you going to actually like save? The other two, gone, out of here. There's no back pocket. There is no saving. It's not the 3 different options where it's like one you watch, one you save, one you kill. Nope, this is just which one of these trilogies are you saving? Or which one of the movies from each of these trilogies are you particularly going to save, James? So curious. I know you shared that you're definitely original trilogy, but in order to kick us off, you know, here we have episode 1, Phantom Menace, episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Of these 3 movies, which one is your favorite? Which one are you saving from the chopping block?
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. Okay, all right.
Saving that one.
I'm saving that one because I think that I like I said, I'm not crazy about. They were all disappointments. I hate to say it, but that one I've come to like it a lot more than I did when I originally saw it. It's definitely grown on me. I think Hayden Christensen, he sinks that movie. He's just not a great actor, and I hate saying that. I wish they would have had another lead. I think it would have been a totally different movie, but I like it a lot more now, and he holds up a lot better now.
Okay. So you're saving 3, getting rid of 2, 1 and 2. Sebastian, have you seen these yet? Or no, not yet. That's okay if you haven't seen them.
With you,
dude. I'm gonna
go.
I've been so busy. My neck hurts. I'm so busy.
I know.
I'm gonna go with what James said. All of it. I'm just gonna use what he said.
So in place of Sebastian this go around, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a poll and say which one stays. So because you haven't seen these, Seb, we're gonna give the chat your vote.
What is it like when back in college when you play beer pong, they will have a celebrity take the shot?
2. All right. 1, 2, 3. And again, this is which episode stays. So I'm gonna start here. So this is which prequel episode stays.
You see, I'm doing it for the chat.
That's awesome. No, but hey, it works out. It is okay. I have contingencies. I know you're a busy man.
Disappointed. Look at him. He's just like.
I mean, you knew the 4th was coming.
I know, but
told you to do the homework.
But look, I'm wearing the hat.
Okay,
you are wearing it now. So it's a 1 in the chat. Again, this is which one you're saving, which one is staying. So are you going to save episode 1, episode 2, or episode 3? The numbers correspond with them. Chat, go ahead and just enter those numbers into the chat, and it should automatically start to populate. But Brandon, which one are you going to save of the 3 prequel movies?
Okay, I got my reasons for saving episode 1. I still remember waiting in line for the midnight showing of this movie, and like the lead up to episode 1, which was the re-releases of their originals with added special, special effects and stuff like that, and just having like so many. Sorry if you hear sirens in the background. Somebody's
Okay.
trying to get. I'm sorry, but no, I just remember going to see this on the big, or seeing the original trilogy leading up to episode 1 with my dad, and that was such like a magical moment of actually getting to see Star Wars on the big screen again. And everything was leading up to episode 1. There was Taco Bell ads, there was Pizza Hut, tie-ins, there was Coca-Cola and Pepsi cans that had all the characters on them. I collected those Pepsi and Coca-Cola cans. Like, this was a big deal for me. So yes, the movie was disappointing, but out of the 3, I could appreciate the pod race. I could appreciate them still using miniatures for most of their special effects and explosions. Oh my God, the fights, the Jedi fights.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
some of the best lightsaber battles of any movie. I'll give it that for sure.
My goodness. So yeah,
Darth Maul.
I'm saving episode 1 all day.
Okay. All right. And so BG episode 1, JG episode 3. This is hard because for all the reasons that you listed, BG, for me personally, I loved episode 1, loved the hype. Like, this was the first time that it felt like, Star Wars was for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being younger, it hitting right at, how old was I? Was I in 7th grade? I was like, it was either 6th or 7th grade. I forget which summer it was before, but I was right at that, adolescent age of, having a kid hero, sort of like the same way that the original trilogy hit for a lot of people. And so this felt like, okay, yeah, I'd seen Star Wars before. My dad loved it, bought the movies, introduced us to it, but this was Star Wars for me, and just kicking it off with all that hype. I mean, we talk about the lightsaber fight where it's the 1 and the 2, people going nuts.
Yeah.
All of the advertising. It's cool that, hey, they finally circled back and Darth Maul is getting his own show and they're expanding his lore. I know there was some of that in the Clone Wars cartoon, but it did feel like there was a lot of build up to 1. He was featured everywhere. He is the Phantom Menace. For him to have died, spoiler alert.
No.
Spoilers. Sorry, Seb, take your headphones off, man. I know you haven't seen this movie yet.
Earmuffing.
Earmuffing. But just for him, what happened to him to have happened, it did feel like a bit of a letdown. And you know what? I made the argument that the best lightsaber fight was Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul. But upon my recent rewatch with my daughter of watching all the way through all of them, episode 3, I'm gonna have to give the best lightsaber fight. I have to correct what I've said in the past to Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar, because that is the real culmination of what all the conflict, everything was boiling up to, the crescendo of lightsaber fights on Mustafar. That was a really epic battle. So I got to go with JG. And it looks like I'm going with the chat too by 1 vote. Episode 3.
Wow.
Saved for the prequel.
Close.
So this one.
Very close.
Boom. Out of here.
Oh,
here. Episode 2.
Gone.
Oh, man.
Episode 3.
There goes Brandon's childhood in the trash.
Just trash it, man. Just get rid of it like the cans.
All right. So episode 3 stays for the prequels, and we're moving on. Original series.
Oh boy.
Original series.
Oh, look at those posters.
All right. The poster art, beautiful. Okay.
Yes.
We'll work our way backwards.
You have to keep one, trash the other. See, I think this is a little harder, but also
this one's gonna be much harder. Do we want to save this one? Do we want to jump to the sequels and then finish off with the originals, since it'll be a harder conversation? Okay with that?
Might be a good way to go.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. So let's go with the sequels. We have The Force Awakens, we have The Last Jedi, and we have Rise of Skywalker. So we'll just go in the same order, and I'm going to recreate the poll for the chat. JG, break it down. Let us know which of these sequels are you saving.
Oh boy. I'm saving Solo.
Solo.
Rogue One.
Yes. Yeah, Rogue One. Yeah.
Rogue One's probably the best.
Rogue One, yeah, I thought about doing a Rogue One versus
Star Wars stories.
Solo, but then it was like, there's no way anything's beating Rogue One. Like that was a clear one, so I didn't do that. Love it, shout out to it. But here we it's just these 3 episodes. We're staying in the Skywalker saga. So, what are we thinking?
I'm going with the first one. That's because I think I felt the same way after so many years not seeing a Star Wars film and getting to see Harrison Ford and Chewie back on screen and everything. I think whether the movie is a great movie or not, that was like a rush. That was great.
Okay, all right, that's a good one. Good reasoning. BG, which one are you saving?
Yeah, I'm going with JG, man. That first one out the gate was way better than the rest of them, and I did line up midnight showing just to see this one.
Me too.
Man, I was so hyped. I was so hyped to see it. The first trailer that got released for this, literally, I think there's still video of people crying, like literally, like, oh my god, they're doing it, like in tears, bawling that they would bring Chewie back and Han, and then you're seeing Leia and everything. We just had so much hope for the rest of the movies that this one obviously is the better of the 3.
Okay, and chat.
I watched these, dude. Here. I watched these.
Okay, all right. So hold on real quick. Hold on real quick, Seb. Yes. I will let you vote then. I will abstain.
No, but the chat should also vote.
Yes.
Wait, you watched these, but you didn't watch the originals or nothing.
Yeah, because because the originals, they were not. That was not like Star Wars wasn't a thing for me. Like my dad never pushed it on me, and honestly, dude, like I was half of my childhood I was in Chile, and Star Wars never hit that way for me. I don't know if it was because they were like adult movies, but I was more of a cartoon kid, which is kind of obvious at this point. But I did watch these, and I do agree with you guys that the first one had that novelty to it. And I was just confused by the other ones, honestly. So yeah, I do wish that like my original Star Wars would have been what you guys experienced, because that feels better than having these be like your Star Wars. But I mean, there's a merit to all of it. But I mean, even the poster on the first one is more of a callback to the other ones. Like you can, even in just looking at these 3 images, you can tell which one is more kind of going towards the originals. So yeah, number 1, just like all you guys.
Okay. All right. So again, chat vote. We've got the vote out there. It's which one do you want to say from the sequels? Is it going to be Force Awakens? Is it going to be The Last Jedi? Or is it going to be The Rise of Skywalker? I know we've got 3 people said they're going to save The Force Awakens. Here's why I am going to save The Last Jedi, and I stand by it, because A Force Awakens, how many times can you blow up the Death Star? So much so that they even joked about it. Han Solo said it. There's always a way to blow it up. I mean, isn't there? Like, what are we going to do? And so my thing is, for what it was, I get it. I respect J.J. Abrams. What J.J. Abrams does is he'll come in, he'll revamp, excite people again about an IP. But one thing he can't do, he's not really a closer. So that's why Rise of Skywalker, out of here. Force Awakens,
that's a hot take, dude.
They legitimately open with on a desert planet, and there are secret plans that they hid inside of a droid, and that droid crashes on the desert planet and then finds somebody else who turns out to be part of the heroes. I'm just saying, it hit too many of the highlights. Love the fact that it did bring back a lot of, like, you got to see.
See, the world
got taken out. Yeah, he got taken out. The world
cut him off. He said 3. And that's justice.
They all come out in December? Is that a thing?
I think they did.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm back. Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
I froze for a second.
You
Don't
got
know where
muted
it cut
because
off.
you chose wrongly, my friend.
The dark side.
But Last Jedi, I liked what they were starting to do, right? And I feel like had they continued that path with The Rise of Skywalker and not doubled back to J.J. Abrams, it would have stood out more. I think part of the reason why a lot of people don't really dig what happened in The Last Jedi is it felt like they completely undid that. Like, I love the fact that it was, at least in The Last Jedi, they were like, yeah, Rey, you're nobody. Like, that's it. Like, you're somebody else. Like, you don't necessarily, like, we were expecting for there to be some sort of big buildup. Love the fact that they were kind of going, like fight against tradition, that type deal. Have like Luke, who's kind of disenfranchised. I mean, I get it. A lot of people didn't really love where they went with Luke. I didn't love it either. Again, one of the biggest detractors, that weird milk scene. Just saying, don't love that either.
Quip, I feel like you're moving the needle on the chat because it was 100% and now it's 70-30. So you're swaying some people here.
I might be swaying some people. I don't know that it's going to be enough, because I will acknowledge objectively, if you're just talking about a film from beginning to end and not looking at it as a part or expecting it to be part of an episode, Force Awakens by and far is a standalone film. Last Jedi really explored a lot of things. Like, you had Poe Dameron, who the whole time was trying to rally and functionally mutiny, right? And eventually, like, he had to learn and grow through that process and learn, you know what? I don't have it all figured out. There's a reason why there's hierarchy to the rebellion, to the ranks. This leader did understand what she was doing. So love that component too, for, hey, it's not all blow stuff up, point at things. Like, there's real consequences in war to some of the decisions that you make as a leader. Poe needed that for his story arc. So that's why, me personally, saving Last Jedi, but I will end the poll. It's by and far Force Awakens. Easy.
Yep.
I just had to give a little shout out to
Some
the Last
people
Jedi.
just want to see stuff blow up, man.
You want to see the world burn? Yeah.
And
So-
I'm all about, and Ryan Johnson, he kind of tried to mix it up and surprise people. I think he really wanted to just, this is what you think is going to happen, but it didn't. It didn't go the way you thought. I love that. I think that Star Wars is so iconic that you're just going to alienate so many people when you do that, and it's unfortunate it's unfortunate that's true, because I agree with you. There was some very creative thinking and some things that when you go to a movie and something surprises you, that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, James, do you ever look at Godzilla, an assignment, and go, you know what? I'm going to surprise people and just completely change it up?
I have, but usually, and I do stuff for Toho, so I got to watch myself. But
okay.
Toho, they want to maintain a certain integrity to that character.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Ooh, dust tapes. We're doing this live. He raises a good point. Finn could have been so much more. They drop the ball with him.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Was really looking forward to that.
Disappointing.
That's absolutely why. Definitely Rise of Skywalker is out of here. I could see with Last Jedi they should have done a little more. Like, he got the love story arc. They could have even let him be a hero where he was trying to, crash into it when they were on the Salt Planet, and he was like, well, I just got to take out this weapon in order to save everybody on the base. They could have at least let him have that moment, but nope, they didn't. Yeah, but hey, Rise of Skywalker is gone. Last Jedi is gone. Force Awakens stays. And now we are on to... wait, hold on. Actually, that's not the final. We're going here to the originals. Okay. All right. So we have A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. This is a little bit of a harder choice.
This is very hard. All these are A pluses. Dang.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. But JG... let us know. What are you thinking? Which one are you saving from the original trilogy?
Horrible. This is like Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's like, kill your baby. But because there's so much great about every one of them. And then you're thinking the original is the one that just started it all. And the excitement of going to that film and seeing like something you had seen before, but never presented in such a way. I'm gonna have to eventually go with Empire Strikes Back, because I just think to me, has some of the most exciting sequences and everything in it, and it seems like the most complete movie, even though it is not complete at all. As far as just gives me everything that I want, but I hesitate because I think that Vader versus Luke and Vader killing the Emperor at the end of Return of the Jedi is it's so awesome. It's just an amazing scene. It's tough, but I'm going to go with Empire.
Okay, Empire is safe. So that's one vote for Empire. BG, what do you think?
James put up a really good argument for the second one because that is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I think we already had like that debate, right? When we were doing like best action movies or which movies from the 80s like competing against each other. This was like one of my tops. But I'm going to say you save A New Hope because that is like one of my first vivid hero movie moments to see Luke staring across the desolate desert to the two moons and wondering what's out there. And like I've had so many moments like that with my own life, just like, I wonder what's out there. Like in my small hometown, like I would do that from time to time, just like, God, there's got to be more than what's around me. And that's how I related to Luke from the jump, to carry me through the rest of the movies and even the sequel movies. So I'm keeping New Hope for that very moment of relating to a hero throughout the whole trilogy. That is my number one.
Okay. That's fair. Chat is voting right now. A New Hope is in the lead. So I think the chat is agreeing with you. And even The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Wait, no, sorry. I said The Last Jedi. I meant Return of the Jedi. So please, 3 is supposed to be Return of the Jedi.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that's my bad.
You missed.
But people were still I'm sure people were saving Return of the Jedi. Like they saw it. So that's on me. Sorry.
Originally it was supposed to be called Revenge of the Jedi.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And there's some posters out there that were printed with that
Yeah.
title on them, and they're worth a lot of money.
I've seen those. Okay, so yeah, so option number 3 is Return of the Jedi, not The Last Jedi. I'm sure people picked up on it. Mea culpa. But I am going.
That was really close.
I'm gonna say,
Yep.
I gotta go Episode 5. I gotta go Empire Strikes Back, and for the main reason being the coolest character in the entirety of the Star Wars universe, Lando Calrissian. Lando Calrissian. That is my
there you
dude.
Go.
Billy D. Williams. Love the intro where he's like, Han, you old rascal. And then immediately he's like, whoop. And who are you? Yeah, hilarious. Even as a kid. So I remember as a kid defending him with the whole like, oh, but Lando's a traitor. And I was like, no, he has like hard decisions to make. As the leadership, the Empire came ahead. He had an agreement with Darth Vader that it wouldn't go too sideways. But what did Vader say? I've altered the deal. Pray I alter it no further. He had to think about protecting the entirety of his city versus a space pirate. Right? So, I mean, I get it. People loved Han. They were really upset with Lando. Love that Lando, basically, they bring it around and make it clear that, no, he was trying to do the right thing. And eventually, he helped the rebellion in Return of the Jedi. But I got to go with Empire. Just that intro, the fight scene, the big reveal.
Right.
Father. Like, that is... even the opening sequence on Hoth, any video game that I've played that is a Star Wars video game,
the walkers,
the coolest levels, with the AT-AT, and you're trying to fly around it. I remember the Rogue Squadron, the N64 game. You mentioned pod racing earlier, BG. I gotta go with Rogue Squadron, and that my favorite mission to play.
64. I have both on 64.
Yeah, with the snow speeder, and you launch the hook, and you drive around the AT-AT. I mean, everything that was introduced in Empire Strikes Back, I gotta go Episode 5. ESB all day. So Let's see what the chat says. Ooh,
What about
it's
Yoda?
really
You can't
close.
give Yoda love, or first time seeing
Oh,
Yoda?
yeah. Oh, first time
Oh,
seeing
yeah,
Yoda.
yeah.
That big reveal where he was annoying, and then you see him actually lift the X-wing out of the. I
It's
mean,
the best. It is the
come
best.
on.
And
Listen, I
what was
said that
so
is very hard.
also with Empire is I actually had just gotten out of high school. I drove across country to visit a friend in Utah from Cleveland. And the movie had opened, Empire had opened there before Cleveland. So it was
Mm.
in theaters there, hadn't come to Cleveland yet. And we stood in line to go see it, went into the theater cold, not knowing the big reveal. And that big
Wow.
reveal, when it came down, you couldn't believe that you had not heard it before you went to the movie. And you could get
Mhm.
away with stuff like that back then. Everything wasn't publicized out the ass, and you didn't have all these websites that were like spoilers all over the place.
Yeah.
And it
Mhm.
surprised all of us. And I had to come back to Cleveland. I didn't tell anybody. You know, it
Oh my
somehow
gosh.
made it back that was the big reveal. And I remember having to go at least like a couple days and keeping my mouth shut to make it sure that everyone would be surprised by that, because when it went down in the theater, it brought the house down. It was
Oh
amazing.
my gosh, man. To be there when it first was released would have been, I think I would take a DeLorean back to that moment just to see, like, what? It's his father? What? Like, I could only
Was that-
imagine.
Amazing.
Was that kind of the moment like when Cap grabs the hammer in
times
Endgame?
1,000.
Because to me,
Yes.
I mean, I am jaded when it comes to the Marvel universe, but that
Mhm.
moment in that movie hit
Mhm.
for me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's been kind of the most pivotal moment when it comes to like superhero stuff or hero stuff that I've had.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
It blew my lid off, and I watched it on VHS with my dad the first time. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like slapping his leg and being like, "Oh my
Dude.
god!" Oh my god.
Shout out to Brandon's dad.
Yes. Shout out to Brandon's
Shout
dad.
out, Thomas.
Okay. Well, I will stop the poll. I got to stop the poll right now. And it seems like so BG's got the chat on his side
Yep.
where it says A New Hope. So we have 2 New Hope, 2 Empire Strikes Back. Sebastian, on your limited knowledge, you are the tiebreaker. You are the swing vote. You are Kevin Costner. Which one would you save based on your limited knowledge or experience, and even some of the explanation that we gave, some of the justification that we gave? Which one are you going to choose, and why is it episode 5?
I see what you did there, but I'm wearing the hat. If I wear this hat, am I just gonna make stuff more confusing?
A little
You're
bit.
wearing the hat. Hold on, I got to make it bigger. There you go. I'm just saying that hat
It's a-
does
it's a
not say A New
cool-
Hope.
I
It's a
know.
cool hat. So go ahead and vote. Let them know. Let BG down easy though. Go ahead.
We're friends. Remember that.
Yeah, our safety is our friendship's stronger than this, dude. So I can vote. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go. Like I said, very limited. I feel like as a person, I feel like we were talking about names and the weight they hold. I bought the hat. The Empire Strikes Back. Just that title alone has weight in my brain, even if I'm not very well versed in Star Wars. So I'm gonna save that, even though it might mess with the vote. I guess.
No, it does not mess
Mhm,
with the vote.
mhm.
That is the vote.
There is
Okay,
no
all right.
wrong answer here. They're
No.
all great movies.
Yes, they are all great movies. And so what we're going to do, and I already know how this is going to go, is I'm going to take the survivors from each of the rounds. Hold on, because I got to do this live now.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
Let's
the survivor
try.
from each of the rounds. And that's kind of fun how that happened. That's so cool. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna pull this back up. And we'll talk about this real quick. So share screen, window, boom. So isn't it interesting that for the sequels we pick the first movie, for the prequels we pick the third movie, and for the originals we pick the second movie?
Oh, that is weird looking.
So that is weird,
The new
but
trilogy.
of this trilogy. Now, this trilogy, it is which one are you going to save? Just to make sure that it continues. You don't actually have to watch it. which one are you going to watch? Which still effectively. Oh no. Yeah. No. No, we'll say which one are you going to save? Which one are you going to watch and then cast off into oblivion? And then which one are you just going to get rid of altogether? So let's do it that way. Of the final ones to see. Okay. All right. So JG, which one are you saving for all eternity? Which one are you watching one last time and getting rid of? And which one are you just boom blowing up right out the gate?
I'm saving Empire.
Okay. I mean, that's I have a feeling. And I'm just gonna ask the chat, which one are you saving? Yeah, which one are you saving? And I have a feeling that is going to be an overwhelming answer, but let's see. So we got
And Revenge of the Sith, I'm going to watch it because, you know, there's things about it I really like, but we'll cast to the side.
okay.
And then I'll wash my
Force
hands
Awakens.
Wash your
yeah, that's they all have you know, it's like movies are a series of sequences and they're strung together.
Exactly.
A narrative.
Yeah.
They all have something good in them that is better than watching a lot of the ilk that Hollywood releases. So yeah, I don't want to be pooping all over
That's true. That's true. Okay. All right, BG, what are you thinking?
Okay, you know I'm saving Empire. That's all day, every day. Revenge of the Sith. It's a little hard between these two because, like, to me, Force Awakens gives me a little bit more of a pop than Revenge of the Sith. So maybe I'm casting Sith out, and I'll watch with, you know, the right amount of old fashions. Force Awakens. Yeah.
Okay. And a couple of the twos in the chat, just to let y'all know, we're a little preemptive before it actually went live. It doesn't look like it was registering. So please, if you did type 2 before that you were saving, or if you have voted, maybe you voted for something else here, please like put it back in the chat again. That way it'll pick up on it. But okay. All right. So BG, you have cast your lots.
Yeah, but it was hard. Like, I'm not happy, except for Empire Strikes Back. But you know,
yeah, okay, all right. So which one am I watching again? Yeah, I think my vote aligns with JG, where I will watch Revenge of the Sith again, just because I really do appreciate it. Like on the rewatch of going all the way back through it. I mean, if you had asked me this time last year, I probably would have gone like Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace would be in this final round, and I would have pushed for that. But rewatching it again recently, I really do appreciate what they did with Revenge of the Sith. So gonna watch that. Gonna cast Force Awakens aside, just for me. Do appreciate what it did, because the same reason why I have that nostalgia for Episode 1, kind of what you were saying, BG. And kind of what I don't want to do is, as you mentioned earlier, JG, not poo-pooing on it. Because the cool thing about when each of these trilogies was introduced is that it is the opportunity to introduce another generation to Star Wars, so that generation can feel like they own a part of the franchise, that this belongs to them, that it was made for them, for their attention spans, styling, like cinematic stylings, whole 9 yards. So it's great for what it was, but it is not for me. Got to go with the OG Empire Strikes Back again, for none other than Lando. It's Lando. I get it. I gotta rep Lando. Seb, any thoughts here?
Yeah, Empire, save, watch the Revenge of the Sith because I wanted to watch it, and I probably haven't.
Okay.
And The Force Awakens it did something good, like you mentioned, but I wouldn't mind not watching it ever again, probably. So yeah.
Okay, and the chat, real torn up about this, right? 100% of the vote.
Oh,
wow.
Goes
Original trilogy,
Wow.
right?
Empire.
Good.
Not shocked by that at all. I mean, I threw the final round out there just for funsies, but we kind of knew how this would land. Empire Strikes Back is it's a great film. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, people are fans of Empire
I do
Strikes
love
Back.
Star Wars, just in case somebody ever wants to give me contract work from Star Wars. I love Star Wars.
And directed by Irvin Kershner, who was like, was he like 70 something years old when he directed it? And he was
Really?
I think maybe late 60s. He was an older gentleman. I think he was one of George Lucas's teachers.
Yeah, I think you're
when
right.
he was in film school, I believe. And so I thought that was amazing. This guy, Irvin Kershner, had a long history in Hollywood before he even did that film. And he did such an amazing job.
Yep.
Yeah.
God, I'm gonna watch this movie tonight. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
I already knew which one I wanted to watch, but this just seals the deal for the rest of the night.
You watching Empire? Gotta do it, man.
Oh, yeah.
You've only got
You gotta call your dad first.
He's asleep. It's he's in Illinois. I'm on the West Coast. It's early for me. It's late for him. So I'm sure he can watch it earlier today.
And Sebastian, you even mentioned it. I mean, you're saying call your dad, BG. I mean, Empire's got so much impact that it even made its way into Toy Story 2. Of the dynamic between Zurg and Buzz and the I'm gonna play catch with my dad, right? It's just the big reveal. It's been such an iconic moment.
I am your father.
It permeates all of pop culture.
Dude, isn't it weird that I watched that in Toy Story before I watched it in Star Wars?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But at least you're not saying, "Hey, this is copying Toy Story," right? You're not that far gone as far as the order in which you've seen.
Yeah,
things.
remember who? Yeah.
Oh, dude, don't ever do a rank and ramble Toy Story because I'm not picking.
Really? Can't pick.
Fair enough. They're
They
good.
They all mean too much to me.
We'll keep it in mind for your birthday.
Well, that was fun. Woo! James, again, thank you for spending so much time with us this Monday evening. It's been great having you on.
It was fun. It's like geeking out. If I had some bourbon here with me, I would have been having a couple bourbons and it would have got crazy. But this is just sitting with a bunch of people, just sitting with you guys and just jamming on films and pop culture and everything. It's like, this has been awesome.
Yeah, we definitely have to have you back. You're one of my biggest influences, and you've just become a friend over the years, and it's just a joy every time that we can collaborate together, and we got to do that more often, I think.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
And Chris Bobinski is asking an important question that I was going to ask you as well, but he's got it here. So which shows and cons are coming up that people can see you at? I know you just mentioned the one with the Yeti. You can go ahead and repeat that one, and then any other one.
It's Kaiju Brooklyn. That is the 30th and 31st in Brooklyn. Industry City, which I've never been to. There's a, convention venue there. Then I'm doing... possibly doing Godzilla Fest in San Francisco. I'm still waiting to hear about that one. I was invited to it and waiting to hear the particulars. Designer Con in Las Vegas. I'm going to be there. Not sure if I'm on a table or just walk the floor because it's so fun to walk the floor and just talk to people. So
yes, it is.
I think those are the ones for the rest of the year.
That is awesome. Well, thank you again for coming. And thank you to the chat for keeping it lively, for voting, for participating, for asking some great questions of James. We're definitely going to have you back another time. And
please do.
Introduce yourself. It could just be chilling. We're going to do a whole ramble and ranking of different movie types. I picked up what you were putting down with you're a fan of Harryhausen, some of the old monster movies too. So it could be good to have you on, I don't know, around Halloween time, maybe. It could be fun. Or even before then. There's no need to wait that long. But thank you again for joining us. Thank you, chat. We have been Blurred Alert. Until next time, go forth, do great things, take care of yourselves and each other.
And may the 4th be with you.
And may the 4th be with you. Hold on, we got some Blurred Alert music.
Oh, we do?
We do. Here we go. Nice. It's coming out. All right, we're out of here. Thanks again. Accomplish everything. We're out.
Later.